Over the past videos, I've been noticing a real trend in the way that people are talking about Australia and other parts of the world, to be honest. And a good example of that was Carl Callahan, who says, "Aussie's cooked, bud. I'm coming to live in Bali." And today I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I think it's a real feeling that people have, and I don't know what the source of it is. I have some ideas, but because I don't live in Australia, I don't really understand it fully. And I guess this is sort of like a two-way dialogue with you, and you might be able to help me understand some of the issues that Australia is facing at the moment. Other Western countries, if you're from a different country other than Australia, that would be really nice to understand what is going on that makes people so unhappy. Not just a lack of money, there's got to be something more to it than that. I'm here at a place called Sukawati in the middle of the rice fields. And they've got this little, they call it a jogging track. Now I've rolled up to this place. I'm in the right area, but I'm not sure if it's the place that I expected it to be because it looks a bit different, but it looks good anyway. So I'm gonna go for a bit of a walk around these rice fields and check it out. This is not far from Sanur. So it took me half an hour from my house in Sanur to get here, straight up, you know that big, there's a big roundabout north of Sanur, like a huge big roundabout, and you go up the coast. It's a bypass road that they built. I think it got completed in 2010, 2011. I remember when they were building that thing. And the view is stunning out here. Absolutely stunning. It's very similar in a lot of ways to that jogging track in Sanur, Prapat Bares, but this is a little bit better because it's not as built up. I mean, the one in Sanur is very good, and it's it's probably my favourite place in Sanur, but I think this is even better because, well, just look at it, it's even quieter. Even quieter, beautiful. A good starting point is to look at some official data. So there are agencies and organisations that survey people in Australia to get their sort of satisfaction level on life. And this doesn't matter about whether people are rich or poor, whether they can afford houses or not, whether they like the government or not. This is just a simple survey about whether they're satisfied with the way life is right now. And the ABS General Social Survey says that over the past decade, there's been quite a significant decline in people's satisfaction with life, but also their trust in other people has gone down significantly. So we're not trusting each other as much. And also our trust in the healthcare system has declined as well. And this is not based on people's feelings about these things, and not necessarily based on fact. That doesn't mean the healthcare system has gotten worse. It might mean that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. But that doesn't really matter because if people are unhappy, well, we need to find a way to improve their happiness. Look at this scene. Isn't that beautiful? Like, one way to improve your happiness is to be in a place like this, I reckon. I think that's what people are feeling. But one of the problems with coming to Bali is that, let's say you want to get out of Australia because you're just sick of the government. The government's hopeless. They couldn't well, I've got to try and find a family-friendly one. Couldn't run oh God, I don't know any family-friendly ones, but they can't run anything. If you get to Bali, like, it's worse. The government runs things worse here. Maybe you're a little bit shielded here from it though. This is the thing. I mean, the rubbish doesn't get picked up. People are burning stuff everywhere, and you know, you can get frustrated with things. You've got to try and block it out. Otherwise it can be really bad. I'll just walk over here into this little rice field bit here. Look at this, isn't this beautiful? Just beautiful. Look at those rice stalks there. And the rice is already grown. It's a bit wet through here as well because it's early morning. So yeah, I mean, if you're trying to escape government, that's problematic. You might be unsatisfied with the healthcare system. You might be, but I'm not. Oh, there's Gunung Agung over there. I'll see if I can get a little bit of a zoom for that for you. Right over there, just beautiful, looking great on the horizon. Oh no, it's not. That's not Gunung Agung. That's Batu Karo, because Gunung Agung is over in that direction, just behind that haze there. That's Batu Karo. But gee, beautiful down here. Surprised I haven't been here before. Beautiful spot. I'm not really seeing too many other people here, not even really that many locals. Yeah, so if you're expecting better healthcare here than in a place like Australia, you're not going to get it. Number one, in Australia, healthcare is free. But number two, the systems are better. Now, I'm not saying there's better doctors in Australia. I'm not saying that at all. But I think the system is set up and more mature in Australia than it is in a place like Indonesia, which has only just brought its own universal healthcare system in. So I mean, this is the problem. I mean, you might be more satisfied with the healthcare system here, even though empirically it might be not as good. Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because how we feel about things is not necessarily connected to, well, it's not that it's not connected to reality, but it may not be connected to specifics on the ground. And that makes sense a little bit as well, because perspective matters, how you're being treated matters, how your interactions with the different things matters. There might be bureaucracy associated with some systems that you're not happy with. You might not like the tone of politics in Australia, for example. You might have to deal with politics in Australia, and if you come to somewhere like Indonesia, you don't have to deal with it. So that can affect how you feel as well. It's interesting because I love Australia, absolutely love that country, and it's still my home. Yeah, I wouldn't discard that at all. But the length to which I would say that I'd love to live there again, I mean, I'm not really. Like, I don't really have to go and live there again. It's not really that sort of place that I want to set up my life there. You know, there's something about it for me, and I'm sure some of you will feel the same way, is that there's that whole unhappiness thing breeds unhappiness. So if a bunch of people are unhappy, you become unhappy yourself. You surround yourself with these type of people. If you surround yourself with this type of people, you're going to get into that as well. That whole pessimism thing is quite infectious. And maybe that's what's going on as well. You come to somewhere like Bali, everyone's sort of quite happy. Not everyone, most people are pretty happy. And you surround yourself with more positive people. That's quite infectious as well. And it can make you feel better. Like, I feel better here just from not a mental point of view, but just from a general point of view. I feel better here because the people that you interact with, hello, pagi, are like that. The guy coming past smiling, grinning ear to ear, makes you want to smile. Maybe that's what's going on. I'd seen photos of this place online, and this looks completely different. So I reckon I'm not at the place that I thought I was going to be at. I'm at some other place. But this might be even better. Because the place that I was looking at was a little bit more commercialised. And I was like, that's not right. I'll actually put a map up of this place to show you where I am exactly. I think on the Google Maps, it just said Sukawati jogging track, I think. And we're coming up to some sort of area here. I'm not even sure what this is. Looks a bit busted up, a bit dangerous, because there's a little ladder up there that's all sort of collapsed. Yeah. And there's something here. Tulkad River, but I thought Tulkad means river. Let's have a look. We'll just go down this way first. What's that way then? Jogging track. Oh, I'm not even on the jogging track. Jogging track is that way. Maybe, I don't know. I'm really sure. What's this? Puspa Aman. I'm not sure what that means. So I can go down that way, I'll go up that way. I wonder which way I should go. All right, so I will go left, and then I think I can loop back to where I started from up that way. So I'll go down this way first. That whole thing about this negativity, unhappiness and dissatisfaction thing is really interesting. I'm like on the channel, I feel that so strongly in the comments. There's a lot of real negativity out there. And I just wonder if things will change for people if they move country. Sometimes if you've got problems at home and you move country, those problems come with you. that could be problematic. The other thing is, you move country and maybe a change is as good as a holiday as well. Maybe that's the case. One of the things that people love about living in a place like Indonesia is that labour is cheap. And it means you can get stuff done quite cheaply that you might not be able to get done that cheaply back at home. For example, like in my last video, I talked about how when I got a flat tyre some time ago, a guy dashed out of the bushes and offered to change the tyre for me, and I just paid him 20,000. That sort of stuff can't really happen in Australia. If someone's going to dash out of the bushes in Australia to change a tyre, well, they're probably going to cost you charge you $200, plus a fee, a call-out fee, and all that sort of stuff. Like, just trying to get. I remember once I had in my oven, the clicker had stopped, and I was just about to cook something. And I thought, oh, I better get someone out. It was a Sunday, but I thought, I've got to get it done. I thought it's going to be expensive, but it cost like $700 or something like that just to get the clicker changed. You know, absolute rip-off. But that's just the way it is. Here, you can get that sort of stuff done much cheaper. Now, the problem is, it may not be to the standard you want, and it may be a little bit awkward sometimes. Awkward's not right, but I mean, things may not happen on time, or the dude might say he's going to come, he doesn't come. Well, that's Australia as well, isn't it, really? That sort of cheap labour thing really helps with a lot of parts of your life. Another part of this is laundry. For example, in Bali, it seems that a lot of Balinese get their laundry done at a proper laundry. They'll pay per kilo to get someone to do their laundry for them. That's why you see laundries everywhere. And that's sort of what you can do too as well. If you don't like doing laundry and you live here, you take all your stuff to a laundry and get it done. And I hear a lot of people sort of saying one of the best things they love about Bali is that they can get their laundry done for next to nothing, and it comes back all folded and sometimes ironed and smelling nice. I don't do that. Like in Indonesia, I've always done my own washing. Well, when I had a pembantu, a helper, she actually used to do it at the start when we were in Bandung, and that was helpful. But at the moment, we just do it ourselves, and it's not a big deal. But that laundry thing, like, it's just so helpful, you know, to just be able to drop your stuff in and have it done. But that pembantu that we had, and I've had different ones over the years, they are so helpful. Pembantu literally means helper, but they're a maid, yeah? In the old days, they used to live in your house, and you'd have a little maid's room. So they'd come from some village out in the bush somewhere, where they've got no money for food or anything, they're dirt poor. They'd come and live with you and get free food, free accommodation, and you'd pay them a little bit of money as well. I never had that because that's more of an old school type of arrangement, although that still does exist to this day. Those people are getting paid a lot more than they used to. Most pembantus now come over on a daily basis and just help out with general stuff. You get them to do whatever you want, laundry, cooking, sweeping, cleaning, look after your kids, that sort of stuff. Now, even that here in Bali is not as common as it is back in Java. In Java, it's more common to have a pembantu that comes over at least a few times a week, and you pay them, you know, on a daily basis. I had one that came 5 times a week when I was living on my own. I didn't even have much work to do. I had nothing. Like, I had a washing machine, so I didn't really need help with someone like hand washing stuff. But all she really did for me, she went shopping. So I used her because I thought, oh, she'll get really good prices at the market. That's another story. And then she could cook my food for me. And that was when I was going to a language school. But after a while, you soon realise, bunch of flies. You know, those real small ones that, like, you see them in the distance and they just buzz around your face. It's one of those. I found out after a while what was going on is that stuff was costing a lot of money. She was going to the local markets and buying all this stuff, ingredients for my food, and it started adding up to a lot of money. I was thinking, there's no way that it costs that much money. So I had her to start writing it down and that sort of stuff. And in the end, I didn't get too bent out of shape about it, but I was getting done on it. And my, you know, the water, the 19 litre water, that would normally cost like in today's money, it will cost 20,000. And so I'd give her the 20,000, but she wasn't buying one of those. She was taking the empty bottle and refilling it. I think I'm going the right way here. I don't think there's any other way. Look at this, isn't that beautiful? She was taking the empty bottle, refilling it at one of those refill stations for 3,000 and pocketing the change. Like, there's heaps of that sort of stuff going on. So having this help doesn't come without some issues as well. So you've got to be careful when you employ people that you treat them properly first of all, but that you're not being taken advantage of, because that happens all the time. I actually don't, like, it's a bit of a hassle to employ staff and have them hanging around your house, honestly. Like, having someone coming to your house and just hanging around all day doing stuff. I'd rather do most of it myself and get people in to do stuff. So I still have a cleaner now that comes in occasionally on a per sort of request basis. So I just call them up and come in and do whatever you got to do and pay them for that. That's not so cheap. I can't remember how much we're paying, but it's not cheap. Because the thing is, because they've got to come from somewhere else, they might have to travel an hour to get there. And so you've got to pay them for their time as well. It's not efficient, but it's better than having to do it yourself. Like, they'll do sweeping and scrubbing the bathroom and that sort of stuff, which is nice to have that help. So all that sort of individual help you can get here does make life a lot nicer. Oh, where are we up to here? I feel like I'm going in a circle somehow, but this is not a place that I've been to yet. The other thing we need to think about is that just because it's easier for us foreigners to live in Bali, doesn't mean it's easy for the locals to live here. Like, they do it tough, especially if you're originally from Sanur. Let's say you've got a pretty good job in a hotel, but you're young and you don't have your own house. You're living in the family compound. Let's say that, for example. But at some point you need to move out of the family compound because you're going to get married and all that sort of stuff. If you've got to go and try and find a house in Sanur, you're not going to be able to do it. Like, you're not going to be able to afford it. It's going to be too expensive. And so that whole housing crisis that we might feel is the case in somewhere like Australia or other Western countries also occurs in a place like Indonesia as well. I'll talk about Bali specifically first, but then I'll go to some other examples I've got in Java that I know of. In our area in Sanur, where I live, which is quite local, land, if you want to buy it freehold, which locals obviously do, the land costs 1.4 billion rupiah per 100 square meters. That's what the going price is. Now, if an average salary, let's say you've got a good job, 4 million, 5 million a month, or per year, say 50 or 60 million, you can never pay that off. It's too much. The income is never going to be able to pay for 100 square meters of land, plus a building. It's a bit of a problem, isn't it? That means what's happening is the people who are buying the land are either rich Indonesians, well, they are, because foreigners can't buy it, but it's rich Indonesians who are buying it and then either leasing it to foreigners or then setting up tourism businesses or other types of rental businesses. I'm back to the start here. I wonder if I can do a loop a different way. Before I get stuck into some of that local housing thing, I'm just going to move the motorbike up to a different rice field because I can see another track over there. So I'm going to see if I can get stuck into that one, see if there's anything interesting over there as well. Locals go pretty fast around here and just take it easy. I've got no idea how to navigate these roads like the locals do. Geez, they're good on bikes. Beautiful part of the world though, isn't it? Okay, we're at some sort of new track down here. Let's have a look around here as well. Beautiful. So getting back to the story about the housing, it's really difficult for local Balinese to buy housing in the areas that they work. That's the bottom line. Because the areas that a lot of Balinese work is either in Denpasar, for the big businesses in Denpasar and banks and so forth, where it's expensive for housing, or in tourist areas where obviously all the tourist infrastructure is sort of boosted up the prices to astronomical levels. It's the same though in other parts of Indonesia. Like I know in Bandung where I used to live, the house that I lived in with Susan, it was Susan's house. When she sold that, she got a pretty good amount of money for it. Well, it's not like Australian prices or anything, but it was pretty good. And the quality of the house was not that great. And the person who bought it wanted to buy it that's nice, isn't it? Just for land value. And they were going to demolish the house and then build something else. I thought the price there was crazy. Not Sanur prices, but other parts of Bali prices for sure. And in Bandung, of course, people might earn a little bit more if they're in established businesses in Bandung. The average person's not earning that much money. Again, compared to Bali, often it's quite a lot less. So how people afford it is just, I don't know. Well, I do know. They don't afford it where they want to live. They've got to move out into the back blocks, which is what happens in Australia. So instead of living in, like if you're a Sydney example would be, instead of living in Newtown, you go and live in, well, I was going to say Penrith or Campbelltown, but that's expensive out there. You couldn't afford there either. You'd have to go further than that. Like it's just really, you have to go really far from where you work, maybe an hour and a half each way, which then makes life a little bit unpleasant, doesn't it? Like I wouldn't want to do that. Well, I have done it. As a youngster, I used to travel 1.5 hours each way to work. You sort of have to do it at some point, I guess, but it's not something you want to do for the whole of your life. And the same for Balinese. I know I met a woman once, the woman that helped me with the house that I'm in at the moment. She lives quite a long way from where she works in Sanur. She lives quite a long way. She actually lives in Mengwi and she has to come to Sanur every day. Now the traffic between Mengwi and Sanur in the morning is just horrendous. It takes her over an hour each way on the motorbike every day. Rain, hail or shine, could be a big storm or whatever, she's in it on the motorbike. And that's pretty unpleasant. So I guess that whole thing about housing crisis happens everywhere, doesn't it? At the moment especially, I don't know why, but it's just the fact that a lot of people are finding it difficult with housing now. Now, if you're lucky enough to be born in a country where your currency is really strong and you can deploy that currency in a different country, well, good on you. That's what you can do. But for the Balinese, for them to go to a cheaper country, they probably have to go, I don't know. I don't even know if they could go to Bangladesh and buy something cheaper, but I mean, where would you rather live, Bali or Bangladesh? Sorry to all the Bangladeshis out there. This particular path that I'm on this time is not even really labeled on the map. I saw it from a satellite shot. So that's why I sort of came down and thought I'd have a look at it. So I think it must be just some sort of local track for farmers or something. That's what it sort of seems like. I guess the problem with all of this is there seems to be some sort of mismatch between availability of land and where people work. Like if you're in the inner city of Sydney, of course you want to live fairly close. You don't necessarily need to live right in the centre of the inner city, but you want to live within a reasonable distance of getting to work every day. And I know in somewhere like Sydney and Melbourne, well, all the cities in Australia, you can't really afford to live close to the city anymore. Like it's cost a few $1 million for a house. Now, of course, we can change the way that we live and live in apartments and higher density. All right, what's this? Not even sure what that's all about. I'll just go left first, see if there's anything there. Actually, change of plans. I'm going to go right first and then go left. Yeah, it'd be nice just for people to be able to live close to where they work. And especially for younger people who may not have families yet or whatever, having a small apartment should be an affordable thing for them when they've got their first job working in the city, in the office and that sort of stuff. But it's not the case, but it should be. And of course, as you get older and you want to have a family, you might want a property with land and that sort of stuff. That should be more accessible as well. Now, if a city is already at capacity, well, there should be new cities built. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but like, start developing new cities. And we ordinarily allow this to happen organically, but I think there's the possibility for governments to intervene in some of this stuff, which I reckon they should do. Oh, this path seems to go down there somewhere, down the hill. I wonder what's down here. It looks quite beautiful when you've got those stepped terraced rice fields, doesn't it? It's Quite nice. What I love about this is no one's built over it. That's what I love. You haven't had someone go, oh, this is such a nice view, I'm going to build a villa right there, which you'd want to do, and then steal the view from everyone else and ruin it for everyone else. That's what a lot of people do. This is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Oh, how far does this go? There's steps down here into the forest below. This is interesting. Oh, it's not even steps. It's like a ramp. I don't think there's many people coming down here. Oh, that's odd. A concrete ramp into the bushes and it seems to stop. But the ramp goes in. Oh yeah, I can keep going. Oh, it's a long way down there as well. There is a river down the bottom there and it's a long, long way down. Why is there a ramp here? Like with all those ridges in it so that the vehicle won't slip. And then it comes to here. Oh, that's weird. And it's a dead end. That is so weird. Why would they build that there? Maybe they were going to build a bridge at one point across that thing. Oh no, the steps here. Oh, that's weird. Well, we're here, aren't we? I'm going down. Now, this wasn't something I saw on the satellite because look at that. You can't see anything on the satellite from up there. I wonder if there's something interesting down here. I've probably come across some old lady having a bath or something like that and I'll have to turn around. That'll be embarrassing. It is a dry season, so the water is not flowing like it might otherwise flow down here. Yeah, okay. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to get down there. Oh, yeah, it's really just not flowing at all. It is flowing right down the bottom, really far down. Don't need to go down there. But there is some more terracing going on down there. That's interesting. Wow. What I like in Bali is you come to a place like this and you can often see remnants of an old time cut into the walls, or you might see an old showering spot or something along those lines. Like that there, for example, has been cut out by someone at some point for some reason, like centuries ago. And there's all sorts of that stuff down near the rivers, always in Bali, which I find very interesting. Very interesting. But there's not really much else here, is there? Oh no, hang on, what's that over there? That looks like steps. Oh, that's old steps that have sort of detached from the hillside. I wonder if I jump onto that, I'm gonna push it into the river. I don't know, I'm gonna do it anyway. Well, that's solid. There's no one down there. Well, let's go down. It's not very often used, it seems. Yeah, look at that. This is a cool little spot, isn't it? Oh, wow. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? It's like a little tourist attraction, but not really for tourists, just for the locals. That is amazing. Must be a bathing spot of some sort. Look at it. It's just glorious. You can see that when the floods come through or when it rains heavily, the water gets quite high up those banks. You can see there's bits of rubbish every now and then up there. The water itself is a little bit murky, but I'm not seeing much rubbish in it. I'm sure there would be, but I'm just not seeing it. There seems to be some sort of water coming down out of up there somewhere as well. How cool is that? Well, that's just made my day, that has. That's made my day. Coming back uphill's a bit rough. Someone on my previous video said I've been eating too many cakes and pastries and that I need to get into shape, and that's why I'm huffing and puffing so much. Going uphill. I don't think that was very nice. But I did actually challenge that person to a race up those very same steps, because even though I might sound unfit, I reckon I've got the edge on a few people. But there is a bit of wisdom in that as well. I probably do eat too many cakes and pastries. Love them. Before I go and, I better put my sunnies on now, it's getting bright again. before I go and try and look for a coffee around here somewhere, and maybe a cake and a pastry, I think it's probably wise to talk about some of the words. Oh, look at the view. Look at it. Wise to talk about some of the words that are relevant to today's episode. For example, that is indah. Indah is a word that usually refers to a view, something beautiful. Yeah, a beautiful view is a view which is indah. Yeah, you wouldn't say a person is indah. You could, but you shouldn't. You basically say that's indah, and you can say peace is indah. You can say that. If you want to say someone's beautiful, like pretty, for a girl you say cantik, and for a guy you say ganteng. And it's okay to say that to someone. Not like you don't try and crack onto them, but if you say to a guy, and I'm a guy, and I say, oh, you're ganteng, he'll have a laugh. It's a bit of a funny thing to say. But if I said that to a guy in Australia, hey, you're handsome, like it has a different feel to it. The same with women as well. Like if you're a sleazy guy and you're in Indonesia and you go up to a woman and say, oh, you're cantik, it's going to sound exactly the same way as it would if you're a sleazy guy in Australia going up to a woman and saying, hey, you're beautiful. But if you said it in a joking way, these flies again, if you said it in a joking way in the right context, you get away with it. Well, it's not that you get away with it, it's okay, you know. People will often talk about other people's visual appearance in Indonesia. Like you can even call someone fat. Oh, she's gemuk, which is fat. Like you shouldn't, but it's not as horrific as it might be in the West. But it, you know, you probably, it's a little bit rude here, but I mean, people get away with it and laugh anyway. A few other words. Mahal means expensive. That's a really good word. If you're negotiating a price with a person at the market and they've just offered a price which is really expensive, rather than just going back and forth with numbers, you can just say, oh, wow, mahal. You're going to say that in a really sort of fake, expressive voice, and then the banter starts. And that's what we really love, isn't it? Murah, M-U-R-A-H, really important to say that properly, murah, because there's another word which is very similar to that, which means young or light. I won't tell you what it is because I'll confuse you, but murah, cheap. Really, really good word. Because they will often say to you, like you say, oh, wah mahal, and then they'll say, enggak murah. That's what they'll say. So when you hear that, you'll know exactly what's going on. House, rumah, yeah. So you'll hear me in some videos, I'll sometimes say pulang ke rumah, which means go back to your house. So sometimes pulang ke rumah might mean their house that they have in the village rather than where they're sort of temporarily living while they work in an area. So for someone that lives or grew up in Singaraja that works here in Sanur, they will still usually have a house in Singaraja, but they might be living in a kos-kosan or a boarding house here while they work here. And then I might ask them something like, how often, berapa sering kamu pulang ke rumah, go back to your house. You don't even have to say pulang ke rumah. The rumah part is a little bit not necessarily, because pulang actually means to go home anyway. Pulang is a really strong poetic word, but it's used very regularly. And it's a word that if you can get a handle on pulang, you really fit in a lot better, because pulang comes together with other words that I've sort of explained in the past, like merantau, which is the word that means going away from your home to find a better life. But these people usually still retain that home in their home village. The family is still there. So when they pulang, it's a big deal and it feels good to pulang. Yeah, it's different to the word to balik. Balik lagi is sort of like go back or return to, with no specific ending to it. So it could be balik lagi ke kos-kosan. That's what it could be. You wouldn't say pulang ke kos-kosan. You're not returning home to your boarding house because that's not your official house. That's generally the case. So there are a few words. Now let's go and look for a coffee around here somewhere. To be honest, I didn't see anything when I was on my way in. And there's a bit of ceremonial activity going on at the moment, which could hamper things a little bit. There's a lot of days here in Bali, as you know, which are ceremonial days, and they're holidays unofficially, often. Sometimes they're official holidays. Most of the times they're not Indonesia-wide holidays. So you might not get all the hordes coming in from Jakarta because it's a long weekend, but you'll have all the locals off work and maybe having open cafes. I'm not sure what the go is today, so I'm gonna have a bit of a poke around and see if I can find something. I'm not too hopeful, but we'll find out anyway. Okay, I've been driving around for the past 25 minutes looking for a place. All the places that I had in mind they're closed, but I found this place and it's got a Russian connection. And I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't go into all that, hating on the Russians and stuff. I understand why people do, they're arrogant and all that sort of stuff, but like, I don't get into it because I just don't think it's very productive, to be honest. Anyway, so what I got was this thing here. They do these pies. They're like a pasty, isn't it? Is that what we call them? Pasty, got Cornish pasty, but it's actually an apple pie filled with it. Yeah, so this is a sweet one. They do savoury ones like ham and cheese. Well, that's nice. A bit of bread with some apple and cinnamon. It's funny, that whole Russian thing is it's a really touchy subject. I don't really like to get into it too much because I've actually interacted with quite a few during my paddle sort of interactions, and they've always been very nice to me, like just normal, nice. And when you get that, you sort of think there is a stereotype. And the stereotype for Aussies is drunken, loud and rough, which is probably right. And the other stereotypes for other races often they're just that, they're stereotypes, and there's such variations between individuals that to sort of stereotype people like that's a little bit unfair sometimes. That's why I don't talk about it too much, because I know it triggers a lot of people, because some people have had some very bad experiences, but, and I know I have too, but, I've met some really good people as well. Okay, got my coffee. Let's give it a go. It's a hot one for you. That is a real hot one. I'm gonna have to use the handle. With my big hand through the handle.
Mantap.
Well, it comes from next door, actually. They get it from next door. That's not a terrible coffee. Yeah, it's not my favourite. Like, it wouldn't be in my top 15 in Sanur, for example. It's actually, what I find, it's actually a very strong coffee, a very harsh coffee. Apparently, what Ken from Series Coffee Roasters was telling me is that Balinese love a much more bold style, like a dark roasted coffee. So that's maybe why, for me, it's a little bit too much. So I guess the topic today was, is Australia really that cooked? And I guess if you look at housing prices and your ability to sort of live where you work, I think you could really come to that conclusion quite confidently. It's very difficult to live there because of housing issues. If you already own a house, you're fine. But if you've got kids, and if I had kids, I'd find it very difficult to advise them to go through the normal system, go to university, go and get an office job and try and rise up the ranks and get a house. I don't know if that's feasible now in many places in a place like Australia. And I think I would be sort of advising them on a different path. I don't know what path that would be, but even doing something like living in a low cost of living country and doing seasonal work in a place like Australia can sort of work to balance work and life, but also save a bit of money too. I know that you can save tens of thousands of dollars a year as a young couple if you do that sort of arrangement. And I think that's what I'd sort of be saying to people. So it's not really Australia's cooked, let's move to Bali, but it's pretty close, isn't it? Pretty close. And I know that the whole politics thing, even though politics is bad here, because you don't really engage in it so much here, it makes life much better. Yeah. It's not all rosy. I guess that's the other point, isn't it? You move here, it's not all that rosy. It's pretty good though. Cheers. Thanks for coming along for the ride today. And thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sanur and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time, and sampai jumpa.